Why children remember pain more than sacrifice.
You remember the years you sacrificed. They remember the one sentence that made them feel small. And that is why this hurts so much.
You gave them food, clothes, a home, protection. You worked when you were tired. You stayed strong when no one asked if you were breaking. You said no to yourself so they could have more. And years later, they talk as if all they remember is the pain. Not the bills you paid, not the long hours, not the things you gave up, just the time you raised your voice, the moment you were cold, the rule they hated, the words you wish you could take back. It feels like they forgot everything, but maybe they did not forget. Maybe they remember a different part of the same story. The two versions of the same home. This is one of the hardest wounds between parents and adult children. The parent remembers what it cost. The child remembers how it felt. And both memories can be true. A parent may remember working late to keep the house standing. The child may remember eating dinner without them. A parent may remember giving advice to protect them. The child may remember feeling like their own choices were never enough. A parent may remember discipline. The child may remember fear. This does not mean the parent was evil, and it does not mean the child is ungrateful. It means the same family can leave two different memories. One says, "I gave everything." The other says, "But I could not be fully honest there." What parents remember. Parents often remember the weight, the bills, the pressure, the nights when money was short, the decisions nobody thanked them for. They remember choosing responsibility over rest, choosing family over comfort, choosing the child over themselves. And that matters. Many adult children will never fully understand what it took to keep the home from falling apart. They did not see the fear behind closed doors. They did not know how many times you worried in silence and kept going anyway. So when an adult child says, "You hurt me," the parent may hear, "Nothing you did mattered." That is why the conversation gets so painful, because to the parent, sacrifice was love. Not perfect love, not always gentle love, but real love. What children remember. But children do not only remember what was provided, they remember the emotional weather of the home. The tone in the kitchen, the silence after an argument, the look on your face when they disappointed you. They remember whether they could cry without being called weak, whether they could disagree without being punished, whether they could make a mistake without becoming the problem. A child may not remember every bill you paid, but they may remember walking into a room and knowing you were angry before anyone said a word. They may remember one honest sentence turning into 3 days of cold silence. They may remember trying to tell the truth and learning it was safer to stay quiet. That is the part many parents miss. The child is not always saying, "You gave me nothing." Sometimes they are saying, "I could not bring my full self to you." When sacrifice sounds like debt. Here's where love can turn into conflict. Sacrifice can be beautiful, but when sacrifice is repeated too often, it can start to sound like debt. After everything I did for you, that sentence may come from pain. It may mean, "Please see how much I gave." But to an adult child, it can sound like, You owe me closeness. You owe me silence. You owe me agreement. And once love feels like a bill, distance begins to feel like freedom. They may still care. They may still feel guilty. They may still know you tried. But they also remember the emotional cost of being close. So they visit less. They call less. They share less. Not always because they hate you. Sometimes because every honest conversation becomes a trial about who suffered more. What children often miss. But adult children can miss something too. Some parents were not cold. They were exhausted. Some parents were not trying to control everything. They were terrified. Some parents did not lack love. They lacked language. They were raised in homes where nobody asked, "How do you feel?" Love meant food, work, discipline, endurance. Nobody taught them how to say, "I am scared for you," so it came out as criticism. Nobody taught them how to say, "I want to stay close to you," so it came out as pressure. Nobody taught them how to apologize without feeling weak. So yes, some parents hurt their children, but many did it while trying, in their limited way, to protect them. That does not erase the pain, but it explains why both sides feel unseen, why pain stays louder. The past is not the only problem. The real break often happens when the child finally tries to talk about the past. If the child says, "That hurt me," and the parent says, "After everything I did," the child learns not to try again. If the child shares a memory and the parent immediately defends it, corrects it, or turns it into a debate, the child feels alone with the memory again. The parent thinks, "I was only defending myself." But the child hears, "Even now, my pain has no place here." That is why some adult children stop explaining. Not because distance is easy, but because explaining starts to feel useless. The painful truth. Maybe the real question is not, did I love my child? Maybe you did. Maybe you loved them deeply. Maybe you gave more than they will ever understand. But another question is harder. How did that love feel to them? Did it give them room to become themselves? Or did it make them feel they had to earn peace? You do not have to say you were a terrible parent. Maybe you were not. But healing may begin when a parent can say, "I know what I meant, but I want to understand how it felt to you." That sentence does not erase your sacrifice. It opens a door that sacrifice alone could not open. Sacrifice explains what you gave. Pain explains why they pulled away. And sometimes the tragedy is this. The parent was trying to build a life. The child was trying to survive the feeling inside that life. So maybe they did not forget everything. Maybe they remember the part nobody wanted to talk about. If you are a parent, what hurts more? That they remember the pain, or that they seem to forget the sacrifice? This is the if verse, where family silence starts to speak. Subscribe. There's so much more to explore. Thank you for watching.